Hello, everybody. This is Breen,
This is Scat.
and we're here with a special, extremely important episode of BS is Our Last Name. We're standing here on the
Steps of Pogue.
steps of Pogue with the quad in the background. It's a very nice quad, and we're here to talk about something terrible that's going on that you really need to pay attention to. So, many of you may have received an email just the other day from President Bob Davies and his staff members about a legislative action alert being taken by our illustrious governor-elect, Matt Bevin. I'm going to read through the email here for you so that you understand what's going on. It is as follows. Murray State University is proud of our distinguished heritage, national rankings, student success, academic quality, and recognized access and affordability as we have served the educational needs of our region and the Commonwealth since 1922. In order to continue our efforts, we must receive adequate funding from the state. Since 2008, Murray State University has received multiple funding cuts, 14.3% in total. During the same period, our student enrollment has climbed to 11,000 students. So it doesn't take a mathematician to understand how receiving cuts to funding while student enrollment continues to climb is detrimental to everybody's tuition costs. Well, it's about to get much worse. Last week, Governor-elect Matt Bevin released his budget recommendation to the General Assembly. There are elements of the governor's budget that are of great concern to Murray State University. The base funding appropriation is issue number one. Effective this fiscal year, so the middle of this semester, at some point before June 30th of 2016, there will be a 4.5% or $2 million mid-year cut of Murray State's state appropriation. That's a lot of money that we suddenly don't have.
And the cost of keeping the university running is going to stay the same, so they have to come up with it somewhere.
Effective July 1st, 2016, so after that cut, our state appropriation will have a permanent reduction of 9%, which means the university's state appropriation will be permanently reduced by around $4 million.
With
Not
an
that
M.
dire. It's not that dire. Million with an M. But that's still really bad. These budget cuts, if enacted, would result in devastating reductions at Murray State and further shift the cost burden of higher education to students and their families through higher tuition and fees. In addition, these cuts further hamper our ability to carry out our mission of providing a high-quality, affordable education to the students of our region and state. Did you get that? Tuition's going to go up. If Matt Bevin, if his budget cuts go through, if we don't stand up and do something about this, tuition will go up. Which means
Many students like me who are here solely on financial aid will have to drop out. I cannot afford to attend on my own accord. So if tuition goes up, that's it for me. And many like me.
And I have been trying to get by with minimal loans, but if that happens, I will either A, have to skyrocket the amount of loans I have through the roof, or B, just drop out as well. Because right now, I can just barely afford it. Brendan, are you in the same boat?
With financial aid, yeah.
So if it goes up any higher, that's it. We're done. We're donezo. Here's issue number two. Governor Bevin is going to switch the state appropriation to a performance-based funding initiative. Effective July 1st, 2017, one-third of Murray State's budget will be allocated on a performance funding basis. As a result, Murray State's appropriation base will be $29 million or reduced by $14 million. That's the part that gets me. I don't know if that's an issue with the email or if I'm just too silly to understand what it's saying, but I'm going to continue, which will be placed in a performance funding pool. The university will then compete with all other state universities for this pool of money and will only earn a portion, same, less, or more of what we put in, of this pool on our performance against metrics yet to be determined.
So you guys remember No Child Left Behind and how such a great deal that was? Thanks, Bush. Yeah, if school doesn't do as good as people think, then they get less money, which makes perfect sense because that means that's going to help the students that clearly may need more help are now going to most definitely get less.
So basically what that said is that they're going to take money that would have gone to Murray State, I believe, and put it in a performance funding pool, and then we're going to compete with all the other universities in the state of Kentucky, and we're going to receive money from the pool based on our performance, and it could be more, the same, or less than what the university put in. And the metrics for determining who gets how much money haven't even been determined yet. So they're trying to implement this before they even know what they're going to do. As outlined in the governor's recommendations, in the next fiscal year, which will be 2018 to 2019, the base funding allocation of $29 million will be reduced by another one-third, and this amount will be placed in the performance funding pool. In the second year, the next fiscal year after that, 2019 to 2020, all 100% of the state funding will be based on performance funding in competition with our sister institutions, again, with yet to be determined metrics. So by 2019, 100% of Murray State's state allocated funding is going to be based solely on the students' performance. And it's going to be doled out using metrics that haven't even been written into a law yet. Which is crazy.
It's all downhill. It's all downhill.
Because of the combined elements described above, leading to a substantial budget reduction, Murray State's ability to budget our future needs, offer high-quality academic programs, and maintain access and affordability will be hindered. As an important Murray State University stakeholder, we are asking for your help in communicating with the governor and members of the General Assembly in regard to these significant cuts and challenges to our budget and mission. Now, I haven't really been able to prove this or connect the dots, but I have a sneaking suspicion why these cuts are happening and what it's going towards. One of Governor Bevin's immediate actions as he got into office was to dismantle the state's
KY Kynect.
Yeah, KY Kynect, the Affordable Care Act initiative that Kentucky has. He wants to immediately dismantle it, which is an asinine thing to do. Now, I might not agree with everything that's in the Affordable Care Act, but I can see as where it's beneficial because in 2 short years after Kynect was implemented, the rate of people without coverage, make sure I get this right, dropped from 20.4% to 9%. So that in 2 short years, that's an amazing thing. And Governor Bevin wants to just completely do away with Kynect and insert some his own state-mandated healthcare based off of a healthcare initiative that Indiana is currently using. But in order to dismantle Kentucky Kynect at this point, it would cost an estimated $23 million. So I would assume that he's going to get part of that money from cutting Murray State and other universities and other programs state appropriations. We can't let that happen. So here's what you can do about it, and here's what we need you to do about it. In the description, there will be several links this time. One to an NPR story about Matt Bevin dismantling Kynect, and then several other links showing how you can contact your local legislator and Governor Bevin himself. There will be a link showing how you can email the legislation and Governor Bevin, call the legislative offices or call Governor Bevin's office, or write the legislation or Governor Bevin a letter. What we would ask you to do is follow all 3 of these links and do all 3 for each party. Email the legislation, call the legislation, and then write the legislation a letter, and then wash, rinse, repeat with Governor Bevin. The ideal thing that we would like you to do to make sure that the Kentucky legislation and Governor Bevin understands that we are not going to stand for this is day 1, send an email to the legislation and to Governor Bevin. The next day, call both of them. And the day after that, write a letter. Wait 1 day, wash, rinse, repeat. Flood the legislation and Governor Bevin's mansion office, what have you, with so many emails, phone calls, and letters that he physically will not be able to ignore us. Sound like a good plan to you, Brain?
I think that'll work.
We need all of you to band together, all of us as students. We're going to do it too. To band together and do this so that basically we can keep going to school here. I mean, if you think about it, the tuition for Murray State is so unbelievably low compared to other colleges in the U.S.
That's part of the reason
in the U.S.
I'm
and in
going here.
Kentucky. That's probably part of the reason many of you are going here. And the thing I've always found astounding is 95% of the professors that I've had at Murray State have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
For as low tuition as I'm paying, I feel like I'm getting a really great education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to mention, we have a beautiful campus. I've been to several college campuses, and we have a really nice campus. That's getting nicer every day because we're getting our current state appropriations, which Governor Bevin is trying to cut. New Franklin, the new engineering building, Governor Bevin's going to cut the money that's funding that, which means we're going to have to pay way through the roof to help keep that rolling and just to keep the whole university running. So please, in closing, follow the links in the description. You can probably also find them on Murray State's Facebook page or their Twitter, or check your email because I believe President Bob Davies sent out an email to everyone. and write your legislators, write Matt Bevin, call them, email them, and let them know that we're not going to take this. This is bullcrap, and you're not going to get away with it. So as always, thank you all so much for watching. This is Breen.
This is Scott.
And this has been another episode of BS is Our Last Name. Save Murray State University, everyone.